then, chaps. How are we feeling after yesterday? 1-1 at the Wanda Metropolitano.
I feel good. Yeah, I feel positive about the result. Definitely. And for me, it was like there was 3 acts in the game. You know, the first half, I thought Atletico were a little bit respectful, actually. Sort of sat off us. We were able to control the game, and I thought we played pretty well, and we created some good chances. Deservedly went in front. The first 20-25 of the second half was a proper examination. You know, they got touch tight. They were aggressive. They brought the Simeone style of play, didn't they? And that was hard to deal with. And we rode our luck. Obviously, we conceded the pen, which we'll get to. And then I thought we finished the game pretty well. So, all in all, it was a good away performance in Europe. And look, we remain unbeaten in the competition. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah. And CJ, the weird thing is, today, you know, we've had a little bit of time to kind of digest it, I guess. I'm seeing 2 schools of thought online from a lot of fans, but the general narrative is like, oh, Arsenal will be a bit disappointed coming away from Madrid with a 1-1 draw. And I'm like, I think it's quite a good result for us.
Yeah, Nick, you're on brand. If you offered me a draw before the game, obviously I would have taken it. Now, obviously, we all saw how the game kind of transpired. We could have gone with a lot. We could have left with a lot less. We could have probably won the game. We're going to get into the penalty shouts. I'm a big fan of controlling the controllables. There were some hairy moments where we could have conceded. We probably could have done better in the final third, but we've gone to a nasty away ground against the villains of Simeone's men of Atlético Madrid, and we're still in with a fighting chance of doing it at the Emirates and getting to a Champions League final. So I'm a happy lad, man.
The 2 of you guys, though, do you think we were... Because I'm seeing some people say Arsenal were lucky to get away with a 1-1, you know.
You earn your luck for one, so even if we were lucky, we earned it. How can we be lucky? I know Griezmann obviously hit the crossbar, Alvarez had chances, and so did Lookman, but, you know, if Odegaard shoots, if you know, our decision-making from a bunch of players is better, we probably score a lot more. We more than earned our luck. You know, Raya stood up tall, Magalhaes with that important block, as was Saliba. Rice back in the 6th row, which I'm sure we'll get onto, was a monster. We won our individual battle, so the collective took care of itself. I don't agree with that.
The only team that were lucky were Atletico. They were lucky they didn't concede the second penalty, which we probably would have scored and won that game 2-1. So no, look, we were always going to suffer at some point in that game, and we did. It was really hard. But even in that period, apart from the one that hit the bar, Raya didn't have to make a world-class save, did he? It wasn't the David Raya show. So I felt we were easily worth a draw, and look, we're worthy favourites. I mean, the bookies, they make us heavy odds on favourites to qualify from here, so we've got to get the job done.
And the supercomputer's at it again. The supercomputer thinks we're still favourites to win the whole thing.
I don't know what the supercomputers are.
How do they calculate it?
I reckon the supercomputer's a Gooner.
Yeah, same here.
I hope he is. We need anything.
The supercomputer's actually Adrian. That's what it is. Right, let's talk about the penalties then. Because we went 1-0 up. Victor Gyökeres with a trademark Victor Gyökeres penalty, I think. He just smashes him, doesn't he?
No one should ever take a pen when he's on the pitch. Like, it has to be Victor, right?
I love that, though. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes we see those kind of like silly run-ups and then they tap it, and, you know, Victor Gyökeres, there's no messing about. Yeah, he just lathers it into the back of the net. I don't even know if he's aiming for a particular part of the goal, you know. But
as long as it goes in, man.
But what did you make, CJ, of the penalty decision, I guess? Because, you know, it was smart play, I think, from Victor Gyökeres.
I think it was great play from Odegaard and Zubimendi initially in the build-up. As you said there, a street smart play from Gyökeres. It is a foul. He's engineered it and he's convincingly put it home. I think of the 3 kind of moments or talking points, 2 penalties given and 1 wasn't. Gyökeres wants a stonewall penalty. He's bought it, and there's nothing more to say on that, man.
Yeah. And down the other end, the penalty there, a little bit more controversial, I think. Look, we know the threshold for a handball in Europe is weird, for want of a better phrase. You know, it came off a different part of Ben White's body, shin, I think, then bounced over to his arm. It's going miles wide. Yeah. In the Premier League, there's a world where that's not given, but in Europe, we know they're given.
Yeah, I think Mikel Arteta handled it pretty well afterwards, really. He just said, look, it's never a handball. Like, you know, we don't want to see penalties given for that, but they do give penalties like that in the Champions League. We accept it. Because once they gave the one in the PSG Bayern game, I mean, that was a joke. Yeah. This one probably was less of a joke, I suppose. So it was always going to be given. But there's nothing White can do. It ricochets off his shin, hits his hand. He's not even looking. It shouldn't be a penalty. But I'm not going to cry about that, because if it hits your hand in the Champions League, they give it. And they are consistent. Yeah. They're consistently rubbish with those decisions.
At least there's method to the madness with that
exactly.
one.
But it's pen number 3 that we're not happy about, right?
Yeah, yes. All right, well, let's just go there now. Before I start dropping stats of other things, let's just talk about the Eberechi Eze moment, because in real time, I was like, it's a stonewaller. And then I saw the replay and I was like, well, it's definitely a penalty. And then I started to worry, I guess, or initially start to worry when it seemed to take ages for the ref to even go to the monitor. They were talking to the ref for ages, and I was thinking, what are they saying to him? It looks obvious to me.
Yeah, where I'm at with it is, I think it's just about a pen, okay? I think 6 or 7 out of 10, that's a pen, okay? But if it's not given, I'm not up in arms.
Agreed.
I'm not crying about it.
Fair
it's
enough.
just one of those things, right? But when you see the replay and you see definitely treads on his foot, there is absolutely no need for VAR to interfere. It's a disgrace that they did. And then once he gets there, he's looking with his own eyes. He should not be persuaded by anybody other than what he saw first time, because he got it right. He trod on his foot. There's no reason to overturn it. And look, I understand Arteta and the players were raging afterwards. I wasn't raging like they were, but it's an injustice, and I think that we need to use that as fuel for the second leg. I think that's really, really important, because they lucked out big time there. And Andy McCoy, I think, on commentary on TV, got it right. He said, if that same situation happens at the other end of the pitch, they're not going to the monitor, and that's what's wrong about it.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying Mikel Arteta said that the ref went over to the monitor and watched it 13 times before he came to a decision. I mean, that's crazy, right? You know, for me, I'm kind of in alignment with you, Clarkey. You know, in real time, it looked like a penalty. The ref's given it on the field. There is no cause to overturn that. It's not clear. It's not obvious. It's not an error, in my opinion. Stick with your decision. But yeah, I think he was swayed by Simeone, the Atlético players, but also the fans.
Yeah, Raj said that as well. I think the fans played a big part. You know, Simeone's antics, which I actually like. I know if that was Mikel Arteta, the context around that would be different. But Simeone's antics, the fans' antics, it makes sense. You said it there. I think every fan has a problem with how this clear and obvious thing makes sense. Like, it doesn't apply. We don't kind of get it. I mean, the ref's giving it, and then they're kind of putting doubts in his mind. A bit like the Benjamin White incident before that. For me, it just doesn't make sense. I do think if that's outside the area, that's a free kick being given. Do I want to see those penalties, the free talking points in the modern day? I think it's gone down the toilet, if I'm brutally honest. But it is a penalty, a soft penalty or not. There is contact, as they should have a penalty, and we're right to be up in arms. But you know what they say about Arsenal fans and refereeing decisions. I just want to speak in control about the controllables. So is what it is.
Speaking of up in arms, did you guys see the clip after the final whistle of Ben White getting in a skirmish again because he stood on the Atlético Madrid badge, which is on the ground. So
on the floor?
Simeone, Simeone Senior and Junior were on the scene. You know, I mean, I thought that was all a bit silly. You know?
Look, if any grown man that gets upset about someone treading on a badge that's painted on the floor needs to get a life. Really,
sort your head out, man.
Yeah, like seriously, there are bigger things to worry about in life. Look, I think Ben White should have scuffed it up while he was at it.
Facts. I mean, you know, I feel going into the second leg now, and I think one of you guys touched on it. There's fuel. We have fuel now, and Steve McManaman, who was doing the TV broadcast as well afterwards, he said that's basically, the team talk done for the next leg next week, because 100%. You know, all the antics of Simeone, the fans whistling all the way through, the conduct of their players, what happened with Ben White afterwards, the fact we should have had a penalty, or we had a penalty snatched away from us which should have been given. You know, just Arteta needs to go in that dressing room before the game and say, I don't need to speak. Look at these.
Yeah, all he has to do is say, look at this, and just remind the boys, not that they need reminding, you're 90 minutes away from a final. You coped well at Atlético Madrid away. Why can't you do it at the Emirates? I do think us Arsenal fans, owing to the fact that we've kind of been so fixated on the Premier League, we've not quite been as up in arms as we should about being in the latter stages of the Champions League. So Tuesday, everyone just needs to be reminded of that. Let's get to this final, man.
Yeah, I think Clarkey, you're in the stadium a lot, you know, for the home games, most of the home games. I think we're going to feel a really up for it atmosphere for this home leg.
Not half. I'm gonna buy some toilet rolls. I'm gonna dish them out.
This is huge, though, isn't it? I mean, look, you know, the fact of the matter is, our European record for a club of our size is not where it should be.
Unfortunately.
You know, we have a chance here to get to the Champions League final. and which is a one-off game against, look, PSG and Bayern Munich, two amazing teams. Whoever we end up facing, it's going to be a tough game, but we want to be there.
It's a brilliant opportunity. It's a golden opportunity because we're better than Atletico Madrid.
Agreed.
Atletico Madrid are decent. They've got some good individuals. Julian Alvarez is quality.
We love him.
Antoine Griezmann is class still at 35. They've got some good players and they've got a smart coach, but they are not as good as Arsenal. Every time we put them under pressure in this game, there were cracks. We found our way through. I think that we really should be going through from this point, and you just got to hope the players hold their nerve and channel that frustration about the first leg, channel it in the right way, so that it gives them a little extra 5%, and with that extra 5%, I genuinely think we can cut loose and score multiple goals, and that's what Arsenal need to do. Because Atletico have scored in every single Champions League match this season, okay, but they've only kept one clean sheet. We have to score in this game, but my sense is we'll have to score twice at least to go through, which means we have to really go for it, not hold back and not play for a 1-0, because Atletico are dangerous.
Yeah, they're dangerous, but also they have this reputation of the Atletico Madrid of I don't know, 5 years ago, where they were defensively solid, almost like the George Graham Arsenal. But they're not that anymore, are they? They're quite open, and I think that if we play our cards right in that home league, we can get those 2 goals that Clarke wants.
100%. There's no reason why we can't go and win. We just have to calm down, play the game, not the occasion. Just do what we've been doing. And one thing I liked is, obviously, we played a lot of football. Our players have been running to the ground, quote unquote. I never saw that yesterday. I did against Newcastle. I know we'll touch on that, but that was also an impressive thing. I don't know if that's psychological factors. I don't know if we were just in a good moment in terms of our physical health. But yeah, there's no reason why we can't do this, man. Get 2 goals. Let's get out of there and let's talk about
Who would be your front line then, CJ?
Oh, man. Here we go. I was going to get onto the front line.
Because I don't think it would be the front line that started the game, even though they did okay. Madueke, I thought, had a good first half. Of course,
decision making was decent
for Ruggieri. He won that duel with Ruggieri in the first half.
He was upset to come off.
Yeah, Martinelli wasn't great. Gyökeres, I thought, was good, and he was a bit of a handful. So, and obviously Odegaard's in behind. Who survives?
You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. We have to get past Fulham. It's a quick turnaround. Saka right on the right, Gyökeres through the middle. I think you have to keep Martinelli on the left. I don't want it. I really don't. I would love to get Eze and Odegaard together, but I understand, and I know you're in a tricky territory when you're talking about a winger going backwards, but I did understand the method to Arteta's madness, so I'd probably go Gyökeres. I'd gamble with Saka and Martinelli at least from the start. Not saying I'm happy with it, but needs must.
Why do you think amongst supporters, because I agree with what you're saying by the sounds of it there, CJ, on paper, but why do you think the trust has kind of come away from Leandro Trossard on that side?
Because he started the first half of the season well, and simply put, he's just not been cutting the mustard in the second half of the season. Like, he came off the bench, I actually think he was quite poor. Like, there was a moment, and I understand when you come off the bench, you need to get up into speed and things, but he's giving the ball away quite cheaply. At least with Martinelli, he keeps a fullback honest because of his pace. He will get back. I just think Trossard's not cutting the mustard, and I don't want to talk about the summer because it's not the summer yet, but left wing has to be a priority for us.
Big time. I just wanted to touch on Victor Gyökeres. Another big goal. It's funny. Yeah, there it is. It's funny because you speak to people, Arsenal fans and fans of other clubs, and most people say, this guy's a flop. He's not what we thought he was going to be. He's having a terrible season. But Victor Gyökeres, I got a stat, scored his 19th goal of the season for Arsenal. Only Haaland and Igor Thiago, Haaland on 35, Igor Thiago on 24, have netted more for a Premier League club across all competitions in 25-26. So, I mean, for a first season in a new league, he's doing all right.
Yeah, you just have to accept Gyökeres for what he is, okay? Nice. Gyökeres isn't ever going to be a culture centre forward that looks like an Arsenal centre forward that satisfies the fan base with the quality of his technique. He's just not going to be that guy. But what he is he's a worker that knows how to finish, and he's got a knack for scoring goals, and he's a handful, and he gives you that outlet down the channels. Now, I understand why people don't want that kind of player as our first choice centre forward long term. I totally get it, but he is what he is, and I think we're better having him. And can you imagine if we hadn't signed him?
Yeah.
You know what would have happened this season?
Yeah,
So
especially because Marino's out, you know, our
Exactly.
backup number
Kai's been
9.
in and out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
the one
so
thing with Jokeris,
I thought he did well. I thought he did well. He was a handful. He made that great run down the left and cut it back for Odegaard. He's got to touch and shoot.
We was all waiting for
be
him to
quicker.
pull the trigger. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if that falls to Eza, I
Yeah.
think he probably even hits
the
it
back of the
first
net, man,
time.
yeah.
You know, so that was a real let off for them. But Jokeris might not be the guy that is the spearhead of this team next year.
he can chip in.
But in the here and now, he's the guy, because there's no Havertz at the minute. We have to get behind him, and I think Atletico are good opponents for Jokeris because they will leave space in behind.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I like about Jokeris, I think Adrian's bang on. If there's one thing I can't criticise about Jokeris, big moments, big games, especially away from home. Like, I know we didn't win the League Cup final, but he was one of the players I thought turned up. He's bagged against Chelsea away, he's bagged against Inter, and he's continued it against Atletico. He has the mentality. As Adrian said, we just got to accept him for what he is. And I know a striker's role, you need to do more than scoring, but on paper, he's delivered. Like, strikers are meant to score goals. He's doing that.
Yep. You can't really knock him for that. Clarke, you're someone who loves stats.
Yeah.
You know, that's your domain, really, and kind of you like tactics. So, what did you make of Mikel Arteta's kind of tactical tweak in the midfield, where Declan Rice seemed to be playing deeper in this game as a genuine 6, I guess, and Zubimendi was kind of also there, but given a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, I really liked it. It worked, didn't it? I thought Rice was absolutely superb. I think he would get my man of the match, certainly from an Arsenal point of view. What struck me was that he wanted to take responsibility. He wanted to be the guy. Everything comes through me. Now, whether that was the plan from Arteta because Zubimendi's not feeling physically great at the moment. I know he's been ill, hasn't he? So I think what it was there was let's release a little bit of responsibility from Zubi and give it to Declan, because Declan is a big guy for the big occasion. And I thought he did brilliantly. Without the ball, he broke up play well. But on it, I think he made 8. Did he complete 88 passes? I mean, I think it's one of the highest ever by an Arsenal player in the Champions League game. He was phenomenal. At half time, you're like this. He'd made 55 passes, and the next closest Arsenal player had made 33.
How does he remember that?
Yeah. Well, I worked.
We love him, man.
Yeah, but it was 20 more than the next closest. That's not normal for Declan Rice, but it was like he revelled in that role. And now I'm thinking, do we stick with it?
Do you think it was because he was like, I know he's been playing in the 8 for a minute, Adrian, but do you think it's because he's reverted back to the 6 and he might be comfortable receiving the ball?
Like West Ham Rice.
Rather than further up the field.
No, well, I think that's what it was. It was like, we want him to be our orchestrator, not Zubi.
Yeah.
Because Zubi's maybe not 100% at the moment. We'll make him more of a, not a peripheral figure, but just less vital. But Rice is, he stood up, and now it's like, is that what we want to see against Fulham? Is it? Because what you could do is obviously play him and have 2 attack him. You could maybe rest Zubi.
Yeah, but
and
then you
could bring an Eza and Odegaard in. That would be bold.
I wouldn't mind it.
But we wouldn't mind it, would we? Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. I'd be up for it.
Is